level 159. As indicated, we can fill in this column with walls. And let's see, we need a wall between these bombs. Need a wall here, here, and here. Now let's see. This column is X. And we need at least one wall here and one here. So that means X is at least 2. That means this bomb is going to hit this bunny and one of the other two here. Also, let's see, this bunny can only be hit by one of these two bombs. So Y has to be at least 1. And let's see. For instance, if X is this one, then this has to hit this one. And this one has to hit 2. Right. So we see all of these bunnies have to be hit by these bombs. And clearly that means X equals 2 and Y equals 1. Now since X equals 2, in this column, we have 2 walls, and those walls have to be here and here. That means the rest of this column is empty. And that means we can fill in this row, which has 14 walls, like so. And now we can make an observation about this column, which has 13 walls. That means it has 2 empty spaces. So let's just illustrate that. We can see it has to have 1 empty space here, somewhere here, and 1 empty space somewhere here. All right, so let's keep that in mind for later. Can't have 2 empty spaces because that would wall off this section and vice versa. So 1 empty space above this row and 1 empty space below it. And now also, let's see here in this column, there are 7 walls to place. 1 has been placed already. So there are 6 walls left. That means at least one of these spaces, there are 7. One of these at least has to be empty, which means there needs to be a path for the crystal to the right, and also, of course, to the left, so that it can connect to everything, bombs and bunnies, etc. And now let's look at the sums here. So the sum here is 99, and we have X, and we know that X is 2. So that makes the sum 101. If we look at the rows, that's 88 plus A, and we see A is 3. It can't be any more than that. There are no more bunnies to hit. So A is going to be 3. That increases the sum to 91. And of course, the question marks here. So we have 101 and we have 91. The difference is 10. That means this row has to have 10 walls, and we can currently see it has 5 non-walls, which means all the remaining spaces are walls. And now let's look at this column. 3 walls, it has 1 already. And there needs to be 1 wall here to block these bombs from each other, and 1 down here. That means up here, everything must be empty. And now we see we need a wall here. And as we've established, this bunny has to be hit by one of these bombs. So we need a wall here. Also, since there's only 1 empty space in this subsection of this column, that means all of these clusters have to be connected. They can't connect separately to this thing. There's a single path, if you will. Also, let's see, we can fill in this row. 3 more walls. And that means, since all of these must be connected, there has to be empty spaces to connect them. And let's see, in this row, there are 11 walls total, which means there's 1 empty space left to place. That empty space has to be either here or here so that these are connected. That means all these have to be walls. And now we see this bomb hits this bunny. Also, this bunny can only be hit by this bomb. So now we need a wall here, need one here. This bunny has to be hit by this bomb. We need walls, since Y, as we've established, is 1. We have to have walls here and here. That means this bomb hits these two. We need a wall here. And as before, this row is just the same as that one. So 1 more empty space, and that has to connect this to this row, which we can fill in with walls. That means this cannot be empty, neither can this. So one of these 3 is empty, and the rest is walls. Now, let's look at these 2 columns. So this one has 6 walls placed, has 1 wall left. This one has 3 walls placed and also has just 1 wall left. And these 2 walls must serve to separate these 2 bombs and these 2 bombs, which means these spaces have to be empty. And these ones as well. So we're either going to have this or this. And let's see. This is gray. And there needs to be a path here. Now, let's see here. So this row has currently 7 empty spaces, which means it's going to have 2 more. And at least one of those empty spaces has to connect this stuff to this. And let's see, there's going to be 1 wall here. And also this row has 3 walls total, so 2 more walls. We need to connect all of this stuff to the left here. So let's see, what if this is a wall? I mean, what if this is empty? And this is a wall. Well, then this has to be empty. That means the rest here is walls. And at least one of these is going to be a wall. That means this will be disconnected from everything else, which can't be. So, in other words, this cannot be empty, so it has to be a wall. That means this has to be empty, and the path needs to continue, so this also has to be empty. So now we can fill in this row, walls. And now we see this has to be empty. And now there's only one more empty space in this row. And that has to connect this to this. And the only tile that can accomplish that is this one. That means the rest is empty. And now let's look at this column. It has 7 walls currently, which means there are 2 more walls. And that tells me there's going to be at least one of these, and one of these at least is going to be empty. And that means there needs to be a path to the crystal, both up and down here. And now we see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 non-walls in this column, which means all the rest have to be walls. And yeah, we need more empty spaces to make a path for the empty spaces in this rightmost column. And the same logic applies here. Let's see. So one of these here is going to be completely walled off. And if we look in this column, there's going to be empty spaces both here and here. And they both need to be connected to the crystal. Because, of course, there's only one empty space left in this column. So we need a path both up and down here as well. And also we can see this row is gray. And now I do believe we can fill in this column with walls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, all the rest has to be walls. And now let's see, we need walls between these bombs and these ones. And now let's take a look here. So there needs to be walls between these bombs here. If this is a bomb, then this is a wall, then this cannot be a wall. And that means we have to have a wall here. That would gray out this column. And we would have to have a wall here. And of course, this is in a corner, so this can't be a wall. That means this would have to be a wall. So we can either have this, or we could have the opposite would be this. Now notice, in both cases, we have a wall off here. Either this or this is going to be a wall. Which means, since we know that one of these here is going to be walled off completely, that means we need to connect what's above to what's below. And it can't be connected here, right? Because one of these two is going to be a wall. And that means we need to connect through here. That means we need empty spaces here and here. And now we see that we need walls here and here. Also, this was a hypothetical wall from earlier. And let's see, this is a gray, and so is this. Oh, let's see here, since there are going to be empty spaces both above and below, we need paths here and here. Also, the empty space that's left in this column has to be adjacent to empty spaces on the left and right, that means this has to be a wall. And this. And that means now that this row is gray. And now we can place these walls, which we figured out earlier. So they have to be here. This has to be empty, and this has to be a wall, etc. Now this is gray, and so this has to be a wall. And now we see we can fill in this row as well as this one. Now this is gray, and we see we need a path to this empty stuff. Now this is gray as well. This is gray. Now we can fill in this row, walls. So now we see the empty space in this column that remains has to be here. And now we can fill in this row with walls. And now this is gray. And there's one space left, which has to be a wall right here.